It's the beginning of the school year and we're overwhelmed because there's so much to fix. Where do you start? In the last episode, we talked about going from head to toe to fix setups. Now we're going to talk about going from the center outward. And I'm primarily talking about the bow. We're going to start in the middle of the bow and we're going to get nice and set up there, and then we're going to work out as we go along. The middle of our bow should be our neutral position. So let's try starting there and moving outward. It's like teaching beginners. We teach them with the short note values first, right? We don't want to start with whole notes and stuff. We want to start with eighth notes, quarter notes, that sort of thing, and then work out from there because the movement's less complicated than it is at the extreme parts of the bow. So the first thing that I like to do to get them set up is just have them do some bow push-ups up in the air. Just have them do some bow push-ups, have them start with a pencil or something like that, and then they can graduate to the bow. You can have them do horizontal bow push-ups first and then vertical bow push-ups next. It's fine, but you just need to get the bow hold set right and the hand working together. Then you're just gonna have them set the bow in the middle of the bow, and you're gonna have them really grip the string and just have them wiggle the string. And at first, they're gonna set the bow and they're gonna try to wiggle the bow with the shoulder and with the body. And you gotta try to have them get away from that. What you wanted to have them do is set the bow, and you want them to be able to move the wrist and the fingertips around that stuck position. So I can't move this way, and so I just let my hand move, but the bow stays in the same spot. And that gets me with that natural feeling that I'm going to use whenever I start bowing. But just get the bow stuck on the string and let the hand move naturally. It's stuck in place, so what can move? Well, that's gonna be the wrist and the fingertips, right? If they don't have enough rosin on their bows, they might not be able to get enough grip to have them stick, and they're going to be sliding everywhere. So make sure they rosin their bows before they do this, or this exercise may not work very well. So you have them do this a few times. You get them to move. You might have their stand partners coach each other, split them up into groups, have their stand partners coach each other, and then you're going to start to add some motion from there. You're going to grip the string and you're just going to add just a little bit, maybe an inch of bow, make that crunchy sound and pull, stop, crunchy sound and pull, and have them retain that wrist and fingertip movement. This isn't gonna sound great. It's not gonna be the best tone they've ever played with. It's gonna be pretty crunchy, and that's okay. You want it to be crunchy, that's fine. They can make crunchy sounds. The younger students love to make crunchy sounds. They love to annoy their friends and their parents and all that stuff. So just have them crunch away. Okay, so we've started from just the grip and we've let everything move around, and then we've started making those crunchy sounds. Okay, so then the next step is gonna be to release that grip and add a little bit of tone. And once we activate the string, we can add maybe 3 or 4 inches of bow, stop, regrip, go the other way, and we just need to be mindful that our wrist and fingertips are moving and our elbow is opening and closing, and watch the shoulder. Make sure that the shoulder isn't activating in this part of the bow. We want to get really good in this area. We want to get some really good sound. We want to make sure the string is active, that they're able to activate it, and then release the grip so that they can make tone. And you can just keep going out from there. Broader bow strokes, broader bow strokes. Okay, so now, once we start getting to the frog, right? Once we start getting to the frog, we're gonna have to start activating that shoulder to pull up here, and the tip, we're gonna have to push the shoulder out so that we can get to the extremes, okay? But think about it. We're working first with our fingertips, then our wrist, then our elbows, then finally the shoulder. And that's sort of the opposite of how a lot of students want to approach it. They want to approach it from the shoulder first and kind of bow this way, and then they make really bad sounds, and then, maybe if they're lucky, they start adding the elbow and then forget about wrist and fingertips. But again, make sure that we start with the bow push-ups here, because if they're not able to do the bow push-ups and they're not holding their bow correctly, then they're not going to be able to move the wrist and fingertips. Either their thumb, their pinky, something is going to be locking the bow hold. So, make sure they do some bow push-ups. If they're having trouble, okay, stop. Hold up your bows, let's do some bow push-ups. Okay, there we go. Now we're holding our bows right. Now we can go back on the string. Another frustration that you might have is, you're working on this stuff and it's working great with with the exercise when they're being coached, everybody looks like they're doing well. And then you start adding literacy to it. They start reading music and everything goes out the window. Okay, just be patient, because once you start doing this, they're thinking about something different. They're starting to think about the left hand, they're thinking about rhythms, they're thinking about other things, and they're going to default back to that less than optimal technique, but that's okay. Just be patient and understand that this is a process. It's going to take a while for it to develop, but you're doing the right things, you're pointing in the right direction, and eventually they're going to catch hold of this technique, and eventually they're going to have great sound. It's also on the flip side of this too, because once they start getting more comfortable with the literacy, they're also going to be more comfortable doing other techniques at the same time. So they're learning how to read rhythms again, they're learning their fingerings again, all this stuff is starting to come back to them. And then they're going to be able to integrate more of the technique into their literacy as well. So don't get frustrated. It might take a month, it might take 2 months, that's fine. But you're starting in a good place, and you're moving in the right direction. And what else can you ask, right? If you want more resources for right hand technique and bow development, check out Season 1, Episode 1. And I've got a lot of exercises and stuff in there that you can do with your students, some longbows, some other stuff. But at the beginning of the year, this, I think, is a good place to start for most people. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the left hand a little bit. And some of our tone problems are actually because of the left hand. Maybe our wrists aren't straight, maybe we're not pressing the string down hard enough. So in the next episode, we're going to take a look at the left hand and see how we can improve our tone from the left hand side.